From Spider-Man being a Jujutsu Kaisen fan to this wild Demon Slayer reference, here are 25 of the craziest references in Jujutsu Kaisen you probably didn't know about. Starting off with this One Piece reference that takes things to a whole new level. If you skip all the way to chapter 83 of the manga during the Shibuya incident, you will notice a panel featuring not one but 5 One Piece characters. This guy is wearing a straw hat that is clearly a nod to Luffy, while another person is dressed as Buggy. We also see someone cosplaying as Law, and yet another wearing a hat identical to Luffy's brother, Sabo. Finally, there's a female cosplayer who looks just like Carrot. Next, we gotta talk about the time the Jujutsu Kaisen animators copied a scene from a One Piece movie titled Baron Omatsuri and the Secret Island. In that movie, there's this epic moment where Luffy punches a random guy, which seems cool at first, but if you go all the way to the scene where Yuji hits Mahito with a black flash in the Jujutsu Kaisen anime, and you slow it down, you'll see it's really identical. The impact frames, the movement, everything, which is just crazy. But an even crazier reference happened in chapter 195, where we see this character holding a toy katana that looks strikingly similar to Tanjiro's katana from Demon Slayer. But that's not all, because once he pressed the button, it mimics one of Tanjiro's water-breathing forms. First form, Water Surface Slash. Man, this level of reference is insane! Speaking of insane, let's talk about this pop culture reference most fans probably missed. If we pause episode 2, right here, you will spot Yuji putting up a poster of a blonde woman. At first glance, it might seem random, but after some digging, it turns out this is a direct reference to Jennifer Lawrence. Gege even confirmed in the official Jujutsu Kaisen fanbook that Yuji is a huge fan of hers. But this wasn't the only crazy reference hidden in the first season of the anime. There's another famous American actor. In episode 15's Juju Stroll, when Momo is asked about her type, she's drooling over a picture. It turns out it is a picture of Sebastian Stan. For those who don't know, Sebastian Stan played as the Winter Soldier in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If we go all the way back to the first opening of season 1, there's a moment where you'll notice an artwork featuring Yuji, Junpei, Megumi, Gojo, and other Jujutsu sorcerers in the background. What's amazing is that this piece isn't just random. It's actually a direct reference in the iconic Luncheon on the Grass, a masterpiece created by the renowned French painter Claude Monet. In the second opening of season 1, there's a scene where Mahito blows some bubbles. This moment is actually a reference to the 18th century plaster work called Death Blowing Bubbles, located at a former chapel in Germany. Although these references were really hard to find, this was just the first level. Next, we're moving into even more insane hidden references that will blow your mind. Take, for example, this crazy reference Mappa made. In one of the episodes of season 1, Yuji calls out iconic attacks from legendary anime series, like the Rasengan from Naruto, Bankai from Bleach, the Spirit Gun from Yu Yu Hakusho, and Kamehameha and Dodon Ray from Dragon Ball. Now we gotta talk about this crazy reference that shows that Spider-Man is a huge fan of Yuji. If you take a look at this comic panel from the Miles Morales comic book, you'll notice he uses a move called the Manji Kick, which is the exact same move Yuji used in his fight against Mahito. Now, I know this isn't exactly a hidden reference in Jujutsu Kaisen, but you've gotta admit, it's pretty cool. But Marvel wasn't the only one to do this. DC got in on the action too, and theirs was even crazier, because they actually managed to sneak Yuji into their own universe. In Nightwing issue 113, you can spot a hidden Yuji cameo in the background. If we go all the way back to season 1, episode 11, and look at the scene with Gojo and Principal Yaga, you'll notice something interesting. The shot of Yaga sitting with his hands folded in front of him, reminiscent of Gendo Ikari from Neon Genesis Evangelion, is a deliberate parody. The animators even had Yaga sitting over a burning camp stove to get that orange glow reflecting off his glasses, just like in the iconic Neon Genesis Evangelion scene. If you only watch the anime, you might have missed this huge reference hidden in chapter 13 of the manga. During the scene where Gojo is holding some DVD covers in the anime, we can actually see them. However, if you zoom in on the manga, you'll spot Leon, the professional, the Descent, the host, the Emperor's Naked Army marches on. The last one is a movie Gojo spoils about the super annoying heroine who dies spectacularly at the end, titled Deep Blue Sea. If you skip the scene in episode 9, where Nanami and Yuji are climbing the stairs, and slow it down, you'll catch an artwork featuring someone who suspiciously looks like Oikawa Toru from an anime titled Haikyuu. And with that, we are done with the second level of the hidden references. Let's move on to the mind-blowing references hidden in the third level. During the Yuji vs Mahito fight, Yuji charges up his black flash in a stance that feels awfully similar. After doing some research, I realized I was right. Turns out, this is actually a reference to Gon's signature move from Hunter x Hunter. What's even more interesting is that Gege once mentioned that he's a huge fan of Yoshihiro Togashi, the creator of Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakusho. So it kinda makes sense why there are tons of Hunter x Hunter references in Jujutsu Kaisen. Like this one, when Gojo and Sukuna are gearing up for their fight. If you look closely, their outfits are almost identical to Gon and Kirua's in a similar panel from Hunter x Hunter. Man, this level of referencing is insane! Speaking of insane, while rewatching season 2, I couldn't help but notice some insane references hidden in the scenes, like this one where Gojo unleashes his domain for 0.2 seconds in order to kill all the transfigured humans. If you slow down this scene of him running and compare it with this scene from Devilman Crybaby, you can obviously see the resemblance. Crazy, I know, but it gets even crazier, cause if you go back to the first season of the anime and slow down the scene where Gojo touches the dark veil, you'll notice it mirrors Urahara's moment in Bleach when he touches a similar veil. The hand movements, the calm expressions, everything lines up perfectly. In chapter 242, there's a panel where Kenjaku and Takaba are frolicking in the water, which directly mirrors a moment from Yu Yu Hakusho's finale, where Yusuke and Keiko have a splash fight in the ocean. Next, let's talk about this Attack on Titan reference that 90% of fans probably missed. During the scene where Toji kicks Geto, if you compare it with the moment Mikasa kicks this random guy in Attack on Titan, you'll notice the same kicking motion. The rolling sequence is identical too. But that's not all. Just a few seconds later, when Toji slices through Geto's dragon cursed spirit, if you line it up with the scene where Captain Levi slices through his enemies, it's almost identical. Before we cover the most impossible to find references in the final level, let's quickly cover the fourth level, which contains some insane references as well, like this one. If you compare the scene where Mahito punches Yuji with a scene from the anime Hajime no Ippo, you would notice the striking resemblance in the punching technique and the animation style. Before we look at the next crazy reference, if you're having a great time so far and want to be entered in our video shoutout giveaway, simply subscribe and comment "I subbed" and you'll be entered. This shoutout giveaway goes to @Kazhim74. Thanks for being part of the family. Let's get back to the next reference. Moving on to this crazy moment when Todo references All Might from My Hero Academia. If you compare this scene to Todo charging up his attack with the one from My Hero Academia to Heroes, you can spot the similarities. It is similar to the scene where All Might delivers a powerful punch, and this reference is even cooler when you realize that Gege and Kohei Horikoshi, the author of My Hero Academia, are really good friends. Next, if we fast forward all the way to the 7th episode of season 1, you'll catch a cool little reference. If you slow down this scene where Yuji is watching a movie and pause it at exactly this moment, you'll notice a character that looks familiar. Turns out, this character is Frodo from the iconic Lord of the Rings series. And now we have finally reached the 5th level, and prepare to get your mind blown by the insane references I found. In the 5th episode of season 1, when the second years first asked Nobara and Megumi to participate in the Kyoto School Goodwill Exchange event, Nobara's first thought is a Smash Bros tournament. She says she'll use Meteor Smash so you can't get back up. All the better if it's the Wii version. This was a reference to the iconic game Super Smash Bros. That wasn't the only reference made in episode 1. 6 episodes later, if you skip to this scene where Yuji is shown making Junpei laugh, you will notice this was a reference to the movie Castaway. It mirrors the moment when Tom Hanks' character loses his illusory best friend. Moving to a cool reference that was made in the final episode of season 1, we can see Choso, Mahito, and Kenjaku playing a game that is an obvious reference to the Game of Life board game, with the same spinner, colors, and design, which is really cool. And while all of the references have been cool, here's a bonus one. In chapter 186, during Hakari's fight with Kashimo, Hakari strikes not one, but 2 Michael Jackson poses. It is a clear reference to Michael Jackson's Panther dance. Now those are some crazy references, but if you want to see something even crazier, then check out this video, where we talk about some crazy foreshadowings in Jujutsu Kaisen you never knew about. Go on, click it!